To welcome in now attorney David Leopold, who is the former president of the American Immigration Lawyers Association. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time today. So you heard Alex's report there. We're seeing several legal issues come into play there in Minneapolis, with the vice president now visiting today. What do you make, first of all, of this new declaration that federal officers have the power to enter a home without a judge's warrant?
Sure. Let me make a couple points first, Nichole, if I could. This is not immigration enforcement. This is an intentional infliction of chaos on our communities. Right now, it's Minneapolis, using the power of ICE to inflame the community. We saw the director there throwing gas canisters into people who were protesting. We've seen the death of Renee Good, a tragic death of a woman who is a legal observer, and we've seen children arrested. This does not make America safer. It does not make Minneapolis safer, and it certainly doesn't do what Americans voted the president in to do, which is lower the price of milk, to fix the economy, and to make America more livable. But to the point that you're asking, can ICE come into a house without a warrant? Absolutely not. I don't care what they say. I don't care what they write. I don't care whatever secret memos they put out. They are not allowed to come into a home absent the permission of the homeowner without a judicial warrant. That's a warrant signed by a federal judge or a magistrate upon probable cause. So they can say what they want. The problem they have is that we have a constitution in this country, and the Trump administration needs to follow it.
So, David, what do you think happens, though, if these federal officers start doing just that? You say it's against the Constitution, it's unconstitutional, but if they're saying that they can do it and they do it, what happens next?
Well, what happens next is we have courthouses, we have judges that hopefully will apply the rule of law and will shut this kind of behavior down, because this behavior is not legal. It's extra constitutional. It's actually contemptuous of our Constitution, of our core principles, and it shows that what is going on here is immigration is being used, the issue, to undermine due process across the country and undermine our core values, our core freedoms. This is not about immigration. This is about America's core values. This is about our constitutional rights. This is about our freedom going forward. And what's going on in Minneapolis with the chaos, with the murder, with the arrest of a child the other day, a couple of different children. I mean, how does that make us safer? How does that make us safer? It doesn't. It makes us much more exposed to danger, exposed to chaos.
Well, I want to offer a counterpoint here. What would you say to critics who say, your first answer there, you said it's not immigration enforcement. What would you say to critics who say, well, actually, David, it is immigration enforcement, and then they would point to the thousands of arrests that the administration has announced?
Yeah, thousands of arrests of whom? Dishwashers, grandmothers, school children, young children, toddlers. Really? Look, President Trump was elected in part to secure the border, among other things. I'll give him that. The American people put him into office on that election promise. What the American people are surprised at today, and the polls show this, Nichole, is the fact that, the next door neighbor, the hardworking next door neighbor is being arrested, that American citizens, U.S. citizens born and raised here, are finding themselves in ICE lockup, or being thrown to the ground and detained, or being shot in the head 3 times, like Renee Good. That is not what most Americans expected this administration would be like. So if they want to talk about going after the worst of the worst, which is the way they put it, they're not demonstrating that. The numbers, I'd like to see the numbers. I'd like to see who's been arrested. Most of these people have not had any criminal activity in the United States. They are not criminals. They are hardworking folk.
David, I want to listen to some of what we've heard from the Border Patrol commander, Gregory Bovino, what he has said about not getting help from local police there on the ground.
Sure.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.